You're watching Force 13's live streaming service. Hello, welcome. This is Force 13 Live. You can hear outside the birdsong here at Force 13 HQ. It's not as pretty a sight in Trinidad though right now, and that's because Tropical Storm Bret is over there right now and is expected to make landfall imminently. I think we said last hour that it would happen in the next hour, but it still hasn't happened, and we're waiting for confirmation of its landfall. My name's Nathan Foy. Hello, good morning, or evening, of course, as it still is over there. If I'm not mistaken, it must be getting towards midnight now if it hasn't reached midnight already. And of course, in the US, time is getting on there as well, the late evening there. Tropical storm warnings are in effect in both areas. For Bret, tropical storm warnings are in effect in Trinidad and Tobago and on the coast of Venezuela and in Grenada. There's also a tropical storm watch in effect for the ABC Islands in the central, more towards the Central Caribbean. And in the United States, we've got 3L, which is supposedly on the way, could become Cindy very soon, hasn't been named yet, but it's a potential tropical cyclone, they're calling it. Tropical storm warnings are in effect in Louisiana, and a tropical storm watch extends into Texas. Well, I'm joined by the Skype team again for another hour here. There's the latest track forecasts from both systems, and we're going to try and give them equal attention if possible. But let's say hello again to the Skype team. 8 people here right now, remarkable. And if you've got any questions or comments for us whilst we're on the air, do send us a message in the chat section. Start your message with Force 13, it'll be much easier for me to see them. Who'd like to go first at the beginning of our 7th
Well, Nathan,
hour
you must feel very confident after that yawning introduction.
Was it a yawning introduction? Well, John was yawning more than
Someone,
me.
yeah, John was yawning. That was it.
It was John.
That was John.
Yes, John.
It's always me.
It's always you, that is true.
Yeah, John, it's always... Why? Why, dude? Come on, John.
Indeed.
Yeah. Indeed. Okay. I guess since I yawned, and I technically pulled the short straw here, I might as well start because why not?
Well, before you do, I just want to show to tell everyone about this imagery here. That big blow up of convection that occurred some hours ago is still continuing and sustaining actually, as it moves overland. And if the centre of that, we assume, is the centre of circulation, radar hasn't updated for a whole hour now.
Rip radar.
Possibly. If that's where the centre of circulation is, then you could put a case there that that's landfall in 15 minutes.
Yes. Or it's already made landfall.
Oh, that's
really.
Well, bearing in mind that it's probably a little bit out of date anyway. Let's just see if there's been an update to the radar.
Let's see if it actually wants to work.
Yes, we do. We do have an update on the radar. Let's see if we can deduce whether this storm has made landfall or not. Let's watch the sequence if we can get it to animate here. Here we go. The centre of circulation looked pretty well defined at around 1 o'clock, and now it seems to be less defined. But, guys, if you're seeing this right now, what are your thoughts? Landfall or no landfall?
It looks really close.
I think it might be parallel.
Very close.
I think in that last frame that you're looking at there, it's right on the outline of that coast. And bearing in mind that the last image of that would have been 15 minutes ago, we're going to be calling this a landfall at this moment in time.
Yeah, I'll support that.
It appears to me.
Yeah, it looks like it.
It appears to me that Bret has made landfall on the southern coast of Trinidad, and this would have occurred in the last 10 minutes. And heavy rainfall just to the north of there, and all over the island now. and over on Tobago as well. Rainfall occurring all pretty much exclusively in the green zone there. Over towards Grenada as well, just about to get hit by another area of rain too. And some of it extending over into Venezuela also.
That's made landfall in the 7th hour of the live stream.
Now, that doesn't really change very much, however, that the storm has made landfall. The situation is still very much the same. We've still got a tropical storm in our hands. It's not likely to weaken substantially after this landfall, considering the landmass is rather small. It will disrupt the system, certainly prevent it from intensifying, you would think. But this landfall, of course, just is a symbolic reminder, really, that of the system's presence, of the storm's presence, and that rainfall is going to continue, winds are going to continue in the tropical storm force range, and as we heard earlier, at least one dwelling has collapsed with someone trapped inside it. They were transported to hospital, and also trees and branches have been affected there as well, snapped and such. Who'd like to talk just for a moment here? The floor is wide open.
Have we looked at the shear map already yet?
We haven't looked at that for a while. If you'd like to,
I can't pull it up, but like if someone can, so we could see what's going on.
I'll pull it up.
Obviously. Yeah, I was just interested in that because we haven't seen that in forever.
Okay, so this right here is a shear tendency map. So it'll completely load. Okay, there we go. So shear for Bret right now will become an issue once it gets in the Caribbean. Right now it's, decreasing. It's moderate, and it shouldn't really be too big of an issue right now. As tomorrow, though, it's probably going to become more and more of a hazard, and it will probably start falling apart, as we've been saying for a while. And then this big blob right here will join forces with this as this moves west. This portion will eventually fill in. I don't know why this is decreasing. It's probably a short-term trend. And it probably is. Yeah, it's filling in a little bit. So this would combine with this to give you a pretty decent area of shear that will completely kill Bret. Interestingly enough, for 93L, right now it's in this pocket of low wind shear. It's rising a lot right here, and it's decreasing a lot right here. This is probably going to. As I've been saying, there's been an upper level low right here. This will back west. The shear will back west with it. So it's not going to have that big of a chance of development. Let's see if we can look at the low level wind and see if we can see what I'm talking about. All the winds on this side of this area, whatever you want to call it, on this side, this is at the lower levels though. The upper levels, you can see there's a low right here. So back off and hopefully try and give some rain to some areas of Texas that might need it, and draw some of that moisture off of what should be Cindy by that time. And Cindy will probably move towards the northwest. I hate calling storms by names that they aren't named yet, but I mean, it's pretty much inevitable with this one, so I'm giving this one an excuse. I did the same thing with Bret, though, so I'm just going to lay off that. So, yeah, that's basically what's going on with shear and all this fun stuff. Really quickly, though, mid-level shear is also looking, well, I wouldn't know if it would load.
I'm gonna get going now. I'm pretty
fantastic.
Tired.
Oh, yes. That seemed to be pretty inevitable as well, didn't it?
I would assume it's not too bad.
I'm gonna be going. I'm tired.
John,
so.
thank you for your
What do you mean?
assistance in the coverage this evening.
No problem. I'm just like
Great night.
falling asleep.
Yes.
And I don't want Michael.
We don't want that on the stream. Thank you very much.
And to be honest, been here for about 2 hours or so.
Yep.
Tried the best I could, and I said I'd stay till landfall. I believe I said that. So we've
Well,
confirmed landfall. So I'm out of here. So
Well, thank you
bye
very much.
bye.
Good night, John.
We'll see you soon, John.
Night, John.
We've got some other questions though. The show must go on, I'm afraid. About rain and gusts. I'm hearing that in some areas, 2 inches of rain has already fallen. I don't know about whether that is true or not, and whether anyone else has any of their own rain reports. And also, just an easy one for you guys. Where are the strongest winds located in the storm?
The northern half, pretty much.
So
The northern semicircle.
bearing in mind that we believe that Bret has made landfall on the southern coast of Trinidad, all of the worst part of the storm is probably overland, over Trinidad and Tobago, and possibly, but I doubt it would reach Grenada, because I think Grenada is over 100 miles north.
Wonder how dry air's doing with that. What, 93?
No, but as you were going to explain some more wind shear, weren't you?
Yeah, it's not that
Okay.
bad though. It's the mid shear isn't an issue for Bret. It probably won't be an issue for 93L as this backs west, but it could end up being an issue farther down the line once it comes close to landfall. But it's still a little bit difficult to say at this moment. Vorticity is pretty impressive with
Wow.
93L. That's actually pretty impressive for a storm that isn't a tropical storm yet. Better than Bret, actually.
I just want to
But
bring
what-
to the viewers this latest frame as well from Bret on the infrared imagery. And Hank, I don't know if you could get there as well, but the latest frame shows something. I mean, still a lot of high cloud tops emerging over Trinidad. If we could just get to that last frame, that would be much helpful. It's just loading a few images here. You can slowly see what the progression has been looking like, but let's take a look at Hank's screen for the time being whilst that finishes loading. In those latest frames, you can really see how
It's a deepening.
Well, I'm not sure about deepening, but the whole island is engulfed now by that big blow up, and just about extending over to Tobago as well.
Yeah, pretty much. I think that...
So it's quite safe to say now is the worst time over there.
Well, yes, probably. And the center is probably right about here, most likely, and it's going to probably continue moving in this general direction right here. So I wish I had a screen annotation, but unfortunately I don't have the software to be able to do that because this type of computer does not support that. So I am stuck with using this mouse to have and trying to draw imaginary stuff. But it's fun.
And Nathan, one of our viewers is saying electricity will be cut nationwide in Trinidad.
Well, that is interesting. We have heard from viewers about a few power outages that have already occurred, but nationwide now, they say. If that's true, then that's remarkable. And there you can see that latest frame, which I'm curious about, where you can see blowing up even more in that last frame there, and just extending further towards the west over land. Significant rainfall is going to be falling in there. Apparently 2 inches already have been reported. I can't quite get to the comments there. Were there any people who had their own measurements for rain so far? I don't believe so far.
Nothing cited.
But if anyone does have anything like that, we'd love to hear it. But obviously we have our observations from satellite and from radar. People on the ground are our eyes and ears very much. So
Looking
if
at
that is indeed the case, that the power's being cut nationwide, then...
And going on that, Nathan, I am on the Trinidad and Tobago Electricity Commission website. I am not able to get any real-time outages, but if someone can suggest a link, could you tell them where you would like to be messaged?
Oh, what? Oh, just in the comments section.
Well, links can't be posted in the comments section, so they may have to be directly messaged somewhere.
Well, that's YouTube's problem, isn't it? Yeah, we'll have to think about that one. I'm not sure right now, but we have our platforms on social media, Facebook and Twitter. Search Force13 all in text. You can also add me on Skype, Fool13 FOOL13, and add extension 9094 on Discord if you'd like to get in touch during this event. We declared around 10 minutes ago that Tropical Storm Bret made landfall in southern Trinidad at approximately 2:55 a.m. UTC. Can someone just clarify to me what the time is in Trinidad? Is it midnight now?
Seems
One
to
second,
be.
let me check for sure.
I believe Trinidad's in the Atlantic time
Trinidad.
zone,
Yeah.
so it would
Only
be
11.
11:15.
Only
It's
11, okay. So at about 5 to 11, by that reckoning, it made landfall on the southern part of the island of Trinidad. And there you can see in a fast loop there over time what occurred and what's yet to occur, though we don't expect it to intensify any more. And this hour is probably going to be the worst for maybe both islands, and then it's going to, in about 2 hours or so, make its closest pass to Grenada. Venezuela will be affected as well, is already being affected ongoing, and if it makes it to the ABC Islands, which you can just about make out on the far left hand side of your screen, that will be something for tomorrow, probably in the later hours of tomorrow afternoon, evening.
Looking at one of the live cameras over there in Trinidad, on the northern portion of it, it seems in the last hour the winds have started to pick up a little bit, and obviously it's still raining. And every once in a while there's a big gust that moves the palm trees around a little bit. But that seems to be what's going on so far on the live camera that I'm seeing.
For most people, wind will probably not be the defining factor, though it will be for quite a few with wind gusts, and a lot of these islands are mountainous or hilly at least, and so the winds can get up. But rainfall, especially in the low-lying areas, could be a major concern, especially in the southern half of Trinidad. But even in the north as well, and beyond, there is some significant rainfall occurring. I'm getting reports so far of winds reaching 26 miles per hour or so. Gusts, actually. Now, if I find out anything more to that regard, obviously I'll bring it to you immediately. I'm just seeing if there's anything on their website that has anything going on right now. Yeah, I don't have any timestamps on them, so I'm a bit cautious in actually revealing anything right now on that one. The lowest pressure, in fact, if I'm not mistaken, there might be one station that's reporting a pressure of 988. That's unconfirmed at the moment. Because most of the other stations in the area are reporting pressures of around 1008. But there is one particular station, it could be out of date or anything, that is saying 988. Now, I'm not so sure on that one. Sounds suspect to me, when all the other stations are saying something like 1008. 1008 is the official line that the National Hurricane Center is taking in air pressure, with winds of 40 miles per hour. David, anything at your end there?
It's gone very quiet.
Well, that's because
on the platform. It's very quiet.
Well, that's because
no
it's made
information
landfall
coming
and
in.
nothing. Yeah,
That's
we
right.
do get that stage, don't we? In a cycle where
Yes.
everyone has really hunkered down, and you know, people would be wise not to go out during this hour at the very least, and probably for a few more yet, to assess the damage. And quite often, you know, people have been suspected doing that during the eye of a storm. This one, of course, doesn't have an eye, but I do expect that the conditions will get better rather quickly over Trinidad and Tobago in around 2 or 3 hours. I'm not sure how long we'll be streaming for, by the way. We'll probably be staying with you until the end of the next hour. We may have some news from ASCAT passes right now, the satellite that passes over the storms all the time and brings to us information, and it looks like the latest ASCAT pass missed. Yes, the latest ASCAT pass has missed. It covers an area around 100 miles east of Trinidad, and over there the winds were around 30 miles per hour, but we have no reports from the satellite of conditions inside the storm itself. With its proximity to land, of course, and being overland, it may not have been very useful to us anyway. In another hour we will be able to see, around 40 minutes hopefully, we'll be able to see what ASCAT thinks of Invest 93L, or 3L as it's now called, as the naming is so confusing. But
I wonder how Jair
I will
is.
endeavour to try and get that confirmed about one particular location in Trinidad and Tobago that may be reporting a pressure of 988. But as far as I can see, it's an anomaly compared to all the others, and a possible discrepancy there. I don't know if anyone else has anything to say right now whilst I continue to look at things here.
Nathan, just going on since the 10 o'clock hour, a little brief recap of what's been going on in the U.S. There has been some severe thunderstorms in Gaston and Mecklenburg, North Carolina. The warnings for them have since been discontinued, which is good news because there was reported 60-mile-per-hour winds and 3/4-inch hail. Guilford, North Carolina remains under a flash flood warning till 1 a.m. Eastern. Flash flood warnings have been issued for Greene, Jasper, Morgan, Newton, Oconee, Oglethorpe, Taliaferro, Walton, and Wicks counties in Georgia until 5 a.m. tomorrow. The tropical storm watch has been maintained for Jefferson, Texas, and East Cameron and West Cameron, Louisiana, until further notice. The tropical storm warnings have been maintained from the mouth of the Pearl River to Intercoastal City, Louisiana. And finally, Mobile. The Mobile NWS office has issued a tropical storm warning for its coastal waters from Destin to Pensacola out to 20 nautical miles, Pensacola to Pascagoula, Mississippi to 20 nautical miles, and until further notice, with watches from Pensacola to Pascagoula out to 60 nautical miles. And so that is what is going on in terms of the severe weather in the U.S. right now, other than 93L, 3L, Cindy, whatever it may be.
I've just taken a look at the area that supposedly is reported a 988 millibar pressure. It isn't at sea level, is the only thing I can think of that. So there is a discrepancy with that. It may well have one of the lowest pressures, but we're only seeing 1008 in the area apart from that station. With it such a rather small area, then it doesn't seem to tally at all. So at the moment, it's apart from that reading, it's been pretty consistent. 1008 millibar readings on the island so far, which obviously goes well with what the National Hurricane Center has been reporting. As for wind speeds, I didn't see any particularly eye-opening wind speeds being reported at the moment. Obviously, it's going to be significant with the rainfall we expect more than anything else. Now, interestingly, it's calculated in meters per second. And let me just get the highest one and convert it, because I'm not so familiar with meters per second. And that'll take a moment or two. But at the moment, you're looking at the satellite imagery there of the storm. So, yeah, the highest wind speed being reported right now on the island is about 26 miles per hour.
Oh.
So there are no areas reporting tropical storm force winds yet, but of course that may happen locally. And let's now take us back to the latest radar imagery of the storm. I don't know if this has just been updated. Let's try and see if we can get an update. Yes, there is an updated graphic, and I gotta say it's becoming less clear over time where the center is again. But it looks to me as though it's just moved inland and is now over the southwestern part of the island. Would you guys still agree with that?
I'd say it's probably northwest.
Hmm. Lovely birds back there in the background, Nathan.
Well, there's really nothing that can be done about that. They are extremely loud at this neck of the woods, and it does indeed
Yeah,
happen.
even
Oh,
over
there's me
here.
again. Hello. I was going to show you the picture out there, but never mind that. Yes, indeed. But yeah, we're just waiting for more information, really, from Tropical Storm Bret as it continues towards the west-northwest. And of course, Invest 93L as it was. It's now 3L. Still can't get over that. And the tropical storm warnings are in effect over there in the United States. Obviously, getting late in the evening in these places, and we will be finishing our live streaming soon, possibly at the end of this hour, as a matter of fact, because information isn't coming through particularly quickly. And my advice to anyone watching really is to rest up, I guess, because there's not much else that can be done during this storm. But I have to say, over Trinidad and Tobago, the worst will hopefully be over by the end of this hour, and then conditions will improve hopefully rather quickly, you'd hope, within around 2 or 3 more hours. And then you get towards Grenada and the coast of Venezuela, which will be seeing the worst effects of the storm as well.
Mm.
Nice, it's been... Go on.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead, David.
It's been reported on the weather, the weather.com, that Bret is less than 30 miles south of Trinidad, moving swiftly towards the west-northwest.
I struggle to see that being true. If that's true, then it would be very close to land regardless, and the circulation might possibly be partially exposed. I just don't see that being the case. I think it's right on the coastline, and that it's just moved just a mile or two inland in the last 30 minutes. We declared at around 5 minutes past the hour that Bret had made landfall in southern Trinidad, and we believe that occurred at about 5:02, which was 30 minutes ago.
And nothing from the NHC.
No, of course,
whether it's...
and to be honest with you, their next update isn't going to be for another 2 hours and a half, so they may not even acknowledge it, because the information will be, out of date by then, and it will have moved on to Venezuela and beyond. So they may not even acknowledge the landfall in their headline. They might acknowledge it in their discussion. But their next update isn't for another 3 hours, and I don't think they even issue discussions for... they only do it every 6 hours, don't they? So we'd be waiting another 5 hours for the actual discussion if we wanted them to acknowledge it. But I think it's quite clear that Bret is making landfall here, and the best you could probably say if you're arguing for it not to be making landfall is that it's hugging the coast. But I really think it has. But regardless of whether it has or not, that's just a minor detail really in the grand scheme of things. What is the case is that Bret, of course, is affecting Trinidad and Tobago and the coast of Venezuela and everywhere else under the tropical storm warning zone. And Isaac's showing us his perspective of the latest webcam there. Where's that?
That's in somewhere. I know it's on the northern portion of Winnebago. I think it's like, I know it's like a part where it's in the northwestern portion of Trinidad right now.
If we look closely, is that the beginnings of standing water there, or is it just wet?
No, that's rainwater. That's rainwater accumulation. I just saw a lightning strike.
Really lightning.
I
of course, it's raining, but
yeah.
There's no flash flooding starting to occur there, is there?
No, I'm just right now. I'm just seeing is obviously rain. Some police patrolling the roads right now. I'm guessing to make sure people are safe, and seeing some occasional strong wind gusts that blow the trees a little bit, as you could kind of see. Hopefully, I don't know. Resolution's probably bad, but yes,
we've got it as well as can be expected.
Nathan, it's been reported, and in support to what we said about the convection burst over the island.
Yes. Well, that's been apparent for about 2 hours or so. No, longer. I don't even know how long I've been here. About 4 hours or so it's been the case. Well, the convective burst began when the storm was still away from the island, but it's continued, and is still continuing right now, by the way. It's not fizzling out, it's continuing to sustain a convective burst. And thunderstorms are occurring over the whole country, I should imagine. And rainfall so far, I've heard preliminary reports of maybe 2 inches, maybe getting towards 2.5 inches. So far.
So Bret is now impacting Trinidad. Power fluctuation, that report earlier from me that they might shut down the national grid.
Yes, indeed.
Very strong winds pounding rainfall in some locations.
Yeah. They've still got power there, though, clearly. And that's probably going to be in Port of Spain, correct?
I'd like
yes.
I'd like to make a mention on that. At Von Ramdeen on Twitter has said from Trinidad, sorry, that's quite a tongue twister there, too many T's. Half of the country without power, fallen trees and poles, heavy rainfalls and winds. From ENT exclamation point breaking news, which seems to be a Twitter outlet from Trinidad and Tobago, that they say that half of the country is without power. Recently just tweeting, Tropical Storm Bret Center is 8 kilometers south of Trinidad. Multiple reports of damages and power outages in Trinidad. So that is what Trinidad social media is putting up.
Thank you for that. And if you've just joined us, the breaking news in this hour is that Tropical Storm Bret has made landfall in southern Trinidad as a 40-mile-an-hour tropical storm with a pressure of around 1008 millibars, which is being reflected on land stations right now. It's moving towards the west-northwest. Tropical storm warnings are in effect, and it's continuing off in that direction, entering the Caribbean Sea, and it will probably weaken substantially and quickly when it enters there. This is probably the worst hour for Trinidad in terms of active effects from the storm. It will probably slowly begin to improve, though locally, of course, it may not be the worst hour in this hour. Port of Spain, for instance, may see some more windier conditions, if not rainier conditions, in the following hour. The eastern coast is certainly getting the worst of it in this hour, and then as it moves towards the west-northwest, hopefully fairly quickly, its effects will begin to subside by about 1, 2, 3 in the morning, and by maybe not daybreak, but by noon perhaps, its effects will maybe cease to be felt in Trinidad. Here's another picture that Isaac is showing us right now. That's
You can see it's really rainy. It's covering the camera.
That's almost ground level image there.
And it's hard to see what's going on, but obviously rain is covering the camera.
Torrential rainfall doesn't look particularly windy. Looks like maybe 20-mile-an-hour winds at most, and higher gusts. But clearly heavy rainfall occurring there in what is not the best quality of images, but it's enough to see what is occurring there.
Yeah, and the light's flickering, or I think tree is going like right in front of the light. So if it looks like the power is flickering, it's just the trees. Yeah,
the trees are just blocking the lights every so often there with the wind. But that is assumedly live or near live from Trinidad, and our stream is live as well. Usually with no more than a 15-second delay or so if you've got a good connection with us. And that is the latest out of Trinidad and Tobago, and there it is on the satellite imagery. Let's see if we can get any more radar at this time. It's continuing towards the west-northwest. You can clearly see it there. The yellow zone is extending throughout the southern part of Trinidad. You can see a small area of yellow in the northern half of the island as well, and you can still see the light greens over Tobago too. Both islands experiencing significant rainfall from this. And there's not too much else I can offer right now in the way of analysis, but if you've got any comments or questions for us whilst we're on the air, again, I don't know how long we're going to spend here. We are sort of running at your service, but do send us any messages if you've got any questions. Doesn't have to be completely on topic. We do take off topic questions sometimes. I think it's just, part of what we do here.
I have returned. I'll just be here for another 20 minutes though, because it's nearly 5 AM. So.
Yes, and do you agree with our prognosis?
Sorry? Yes, Nathan, I do. I absolutely do. I believe it has now made landfall in Trinidad. And I believe there will be some flooding, about 5 inches worth of rain, but not going to last long. It'll
about half of that has already fallen. I guess that makes sense considering half of the storm has so far passed over. There's another view out of Trinidad somewhere. I'm guessing these cameras are all in Port of Spain.
Yeah, they're on the northern portion, mostly on the northwestern portion of the island. And you can see cars going on by, and there's some, obviously the rain on the road and not much going on.
Very slick roads there.
On Twitter from @VaughnRamdean, who I had spoken of earlier, says he is in Arima in Trinidad and Tobago, which is a bit to the east of Port of Spain, near the center of the landmass. He has said that not much is happening where he resides. He says most of the action is in other parts of the country, though he is only getting the information through other citizens posting on social media.
It looks interesting on the webcam that's been shown on the live stream. Looking quite wet and windy, actually.
Yeah,
And
the
nice.
rain.
Yeah, there's some wind gusts going on, but it doesn't look like there's real sustained winds there. But I again, this is a built-up area, and it's probably I assume it's low level on the not the windward side of the island either. We're looking at the east coast for the highest winds, aren't we?
Hmm. And I could
Yes,
tell,
I
I can confirm that the rain seems to be coming down in sheets. I'm looking at the street lights, and it looks like it's coming down in sheets. And then there's an occasional strong gust here and there, so far. Yeah, it's coming down in sheets. I see it on the lights. So they're getting torrential rains right now.
Let's familiarise ourselves with what the track forecasts look like for both of these two systems. Yes, there are two. Of course, we're watching Bret more closely in this hour as it makes its presence felt in Trinidad and Tobago. But Invest 93L, or what was, is now 3L, according to the National Hurricane Center. Very confusing stuff. Is expected to head towards the United States. Tropical storm warning in effect for parts of Louisiana, and a tropical storm watch extending towards the west, towards Texas. And the system itself is likely to impact the western side of Louisiana, but it's got a very large wind field to the east and lots of rainfall occurring there as well. There was a rumor going around that Florida had tropical storm warnings earlier. That is not true. David.
When do you think it'll get named?
That one over there, well, 12 hours or so, perhaps.
6
Yeah,
to
so
12 hours is what I saw
Yeah,
it.
it could be indeed. The next
So
name.
interrupt. I am hearing that hurricane hunters will be going into the O3L later tonight. Earlier is the morning. So
It's probably going to be in the morning indeed. The next name, of course, is Cindy.
should be named then. It should be named once they go into it. So.
And Nathan, I'm just going to object there. It wasn't a rumor. It was presented as a likely anomaly and was an anomaly from the National Weather Service.
Well, it's better to call it, to spare their blushes and call it a rumor rather than a mistake.
It sounds like a rumor.
Well, if we wanted to spare their blushes, we wouldn't be contradicting them so often, would we?
Well, maybe we wouldn't mention it at all, but there we go. But yeah, that's pretty much what we have right now. The conditions are continuing to be felt. What appears to be significant rainfall. No signs of flooding just yet. Of course, you're our eyes and ears on the ground, apart from what we've been showing. So if you do have anything to add about what's going on in your neighbourhood, do let us know, and we'll broadcast it. Let's bring us back up to speed with the latest satellite imagery. And this is how it's been looking in the last few frames. As you can see, still blowing up over land there with its convective bursts, its thunderstorm activity. It's probably the best it's ever looked, Bret.
Yeah,
I'll support that.
Yeah.
Definitely with that big blow up of convection, as you could obviously see over there. It's definitely looking way better than it did earlier today, when it was kind of having scattered convection all over it. But now it's obviously kind of strengthening. It looks like a little bit over landfall right here, and they're probably getting the effects of it right now. Obviously,
Nathan, Trinidad and Tobago, you've mentioned is mountainous, if not hilly. As we see those updrafts come through and the convection burst, is that due to those sea level winds and precipitation reaching the mountains going up, and will that suck some of the energy out from the outsides of the storm?
It's an interesting point. I don't think that has too much of an effect in this particular instance. The blow-ups did begin quite a long time before the landfall. Whether it will be of the detriment to the storm, I've got to say, if you look at those latest frames, which I encourage everyone to do here in the room, it looks to me as though the shear is beginning to take its effect, especially when you look at the southern edge of that convective burst. What do you think?
Just looking at it now.
Usually a good sign of wind shear taking in effect is a very sharp gradient between the blow up itself and nothingness, essentially, the grey areas there. And there is quite a sharp gradient.
Actually.
Yes.
I do actually see that. I'm actually noticing the sheer start.
When you compare it to the northern side, which is a much softer gradient, transitioning from the reds to the greens to the blues, it's such a sharp gradient on the southern side, suggesting that wind shear might be beginning to take a toll on this system. And you never know, in 12 hours' time, it could completely do a number on this storm, and it could blow away all of its thunderstorms. But it's not going to help Trinidad now, because obviously it's too late there, and within an hour or so it will have passed over the island and be saying goodbye.
Yeah. And after that it'll be saying goodbye to itself soon also, because of the shear. But just getting everything sorted out over here. So
yes, so we're taking this a little bit low key at the present time, because there's not much news coming out and there's not much to discuss, because there's not much new information coming in, not much changed with the advisories that came out from the National Hurricane Center last hour that we've been digesting. Though we do have ASCAT, which will be passing over I keep saying Invest 03L, so we may find out more about its wind profile in
Isn't it?
In the next 20 minutes or so.
I agree, David. Absolutely, it's a strange system we're using now.
And there's another picture there of what is currently occurring. There are quite a few webcams.
yeah, only like half of them are out, and then some of them are still going. So this is one of the few that's going, obviously, and you can see the rain on the lens, and then people still driving, and it's being it's hard to see, but it's torrential downpour.
A lot of rain
now.
on the lens there.
Yeah. And yeah, of course, power's still on. Winds seem to be getting a little bit stronger than they were originally. It looks to be winds seem to be around 20 to 30 miles an hour. Looking at the trees, it looks to be at around 20 to 30 mile an hour range.
I've had a report that the winds may be now up to around 30 or 32 mile an hour in gusts, and that over 2.5 inches have now fallen. We're expecting 4 or 5 inches to fall, and it could happen rather quickly. And so we could be seeing some flash flooding.
Definitely with this. But all people can really do right now is kind of just, I guess stay inside and wait for it to pass over. Not much really say.
Here we are back with the radar imagery on what is currently occurring. As you can see, there's a new image that it appears to me as though the supposed center of Bret may just be about to emerge again off the western coast near the southwest, and you could suggest that the center of Bret right now is going to be approximately, do my maths here, around 30 miles south of the capital port of Spain.
Oh wow, the winds are really strong. They're shaking the camera. That's a big gust.
Well, that's a high elevation by the looks of things as well, though, the camera.
Yeah. Yeah, so the winds are like 10 times probably stronger up there than they are down level, but I can see the winds are swaying by the palm tree right here. I don't know if you're able to see that well, but it was went back and forth pretty violently.
Yeah,
now
it's like rather strong winds with rain, bad rain there.
And now it went out. Okay, that's back.
125 millimeters an hour. 125 millimeters of rain in an hour.
Oh, yeah, it's definitely pretty bad over there. As you can see with the camera, it's yeah.
Isn't that something like 5 inches?
That's a fair bit.
Rain?
That's flooding. That sort of rain, 125
well, who's reported
millimeters.
That would be 5 inches, Nathan.
Yeah, who's reported that?
It's in the chat. Carey Otley.
Oh. Well, it was actually a station that reported that.
I'm not sure, Carey. Where did you get that information from? 40 miles per hour winds, high winds, and 125 millimeters an hour rainfall. That's quite a bit. Didn't they say 2 to 4 inches?
The National Hurricane Center came out with
Trinidad?
2 to 4 inches for. They said it rather generally. They said it for the whole area, really. But yeah, it includes Trinidad and Tobago. You would have thought that they'd have mentioned that it could be locally higher, like they have done.
Thanks, Kerry.
Like they have done with the other system. (03L), because they say it could be isolated amounts up to 10 inches for that one, which is approaching the Gulf Coast. But with this one, they just said 2 to 4. They might have changed it since, because I'm still memorizing the information from some time ago. But no, it is still the same. They said 2 to 4 inches over the Windward Islands and the eastern coast of Venezuela tonight and into Tuesday. Their next updates, by the way, are coming up in 2 hours. But again, this is live, and it appears to me at least that the storm is just about to move off the western coast as we near the end of another hour here on Force 13 Live. If you've got any questions or comments for us, do send us a message. We much appreciate the messages in the comments section whilst we are broadcasting, and we'll continue to broadcast. And the situation remains to be seen. Obviously, we only have the webcams from the towns, and I assume all of these are from the capital port of Spain. Conditions may be worse elsewhere, and I don't know if you've got any more news pertaining to that, David, about... Obviously, we got the news not long ago of one dwelling collapsing.
No additional information.
Nathan, I just found out that this camera is located on Victoria Avenue, apparently. So somewhere Victoria Avenue. I don't know where that's. I think that's in the northern portion of the island.
Okay, well, there we are. We've got to see quite a few angles there, and the picture's pretty much the same. Winds are steady, but they're not particularly strong, only around 30-mile-an-hour gusts at the most, not tropical storm strength. And the rainfall, as we imagined, looks like it's going to be the biggest factor as we continue this evening. Well, I should qualify that. 30 miles an hour gusts only in the places that we know of, which are generally low-lying, built-up areas. It could be higher on hills and in rural areas of the island. And I know that a lot of people have been talking about what they've been experiencing throughout the stream this evening. We'll have more for you coming up in the next hour as we enter our 8th hour, I believe. Our 8th hour of coverage.
Yeah.
No, I'm pretty sure it's the 8th hour of coverage
Right.
of Force 13 Live, Tuesday,
I
June
thought-
20th. We're entering, as you'll be as well if you're watching from Trinidad, as we take over into a new day over there. We'll be back again shortly, and as you can see, it's light here at Force 13 HQ now, here in the United Kingdom, and looks like it's going to be another warm day over here as well, but
Oh yes, definitely.
that's just here. We'll talk again soon.
Definitely.
Back in a few moments. Stay tuned. Live coverage continues in a moment. You can follow Force 13's outlets, the website force13.co.uk at your service at any time. You can also find us on YouTube, the channel, search Force 13, all in text, and subscribe if you haven't already. You can also find us on Facebook at Force 13, and it's at Force 13 on Twitter, that's the handle to contact us there. You can also add Fool13 on Skype, that's FOOL13, and add extension 9094 on Discord for tropical weather chat.